Guys, today we're gonna find out who his YT story is. We're gonna watch like most of his videos, okay, guys?
Hey, man.
Let's do this.
And they got up off the ground. They turned on their microphones and started singing together while my son clicked his fingers to the beat. Daryl's smile was wide every day.
Right, we need to check this out. Who is this guy right here, bro? Who is his YT story? Who is this guy right here, guys? Who is this guy? Let's do his shorts.
Every day for 2 years, the homeless man stood on our street corner singing for money. His clothes were torn and his hair was dirty, but my son still stood in the front row every time, clicking his fingers to the beat and clapping when he was done. But then one day, a woman in Gucci heels and a designer dress pushed past my son and walked up to Daryl while he was singing. She jabbed her tanned finger in his face and screamed, "Beggars like you need to stop polluting our streets." She knocked the microphone out of his hands and stomped it on the concrete until it broke. Nobody wants to see someone so dirty and disgusting around them. She stormed away, and Daryl instantly broke. He dropped to the ground, picking up the broken pieces of his microphone and crying. It was the first time I'd ever seen him not smile. Every person who'd watched him for 2 years simply walked away, doing nothing to help him. 2 teenagers ran by Daryl while he was on the ground and snatched his coin cup, taking the coins he was going to use for food. My son gripped his head in horror and asked me why nobody was doing anything. Then he asked me why I wasn't doing anything. I felt ashamed, but before I could do anything, he was already bolting towards the toy store nearby. I ran in and saw him pouring all his coins out and pointing at the microphones behind the counter. He told the cashier, "Keep the change," and ran past me with 2 microphones. Daryl was still on the ground, surrounded by broken mic pieces and curled into a ball because nobody had helped him. But my son sat down beside him. "This is for you." He pressed one of the mic.
Oh, that is...
Every day for 2 years, the homeless... I carefully set my new laptop on my couch and stood up to get a drink. But then my rich friend walked over right where I was sitting. "My legs are tired." He picked up my new laptop and chucked it towards the sofa. It bounced off the edge and hit the ground. And I heard a crack, but he just plopped on the couch and leaned back, scrolling his phone. I ran over with my fists clenched and knelt down. "Why the hell would you throw this? I worked all summer for it." I held up the laptop with a spiderweb crack down the screen, but he just laughed. "Relax, dude, my dad is a millionaire. He'll get you a new one." He pressed his phone to his ear, but when a few minutes later the door opened, a man in work boots and sunken eyes walked in. I was confused because he had holes in his shirt and didn't look like a millionaire at all, but my friend just called out, "Hey dad, I accidentally broke his laptop. Buy him a new one." His dad sighed and looked at the broken laptop. "How much was it?" $1,200. I gulped, and he instantly gripped his head in horror, whispering numbers to himself I couldn't hear. But my friend just snapped his fingers. "You heard him, Dad. $1,200. Now." He went back to scrolling his phone, and that's when the man's face twisted as he looked at his son. "I don't know what you think this is, but you must have forgotten that your real dad didn't want you. He gave you to me because he found you insufferable.
No, why is that just
And I don't have the
crazy, bro? That's just like crazy. Oh, I paused down like a good time. Just look at him.
kind of money he does." My jaw dropped, and my friend's face instantly went red with embarrassment. His thumb stopped on his screen, but his dad continued. "$1,200 is my rent money. Do you understand that?" I was about to tell him it's okay, he didn't need to get me a laptop, but he was already reaching into his wallet. He pressed the $1,200 into my chest with his shaking, calloused hands. I tried to refuse because this was his rent money, but he shook his head. "Take it. I'm responsible for him." My friend smirked because he'd gotten his way, but then the man reached over and grabbed my friend's phone. "But I'm selling this to make my rent money back." My friend lunged for it. "You can't sell my phone." But the man dropped
That's so funny, bruh.
it in his pocket and turned for the door. My friend stood there, red-faced with tears running down his eyes, and that's when the man turned back to him at the door. He smiled. "I love you like my own son, kid. That's why I'm not letting you get away with being an entitled brat." I carefully set my...
Oh my god, bro, that was crazy.
My teacher ripped the switch out of my hands mid-Hollow Knight boss fight and dropped it in her desk.
Why does he have a switch in class, bro? I would rip it. I would rip it too, bro.
Drawer. Mrs. Deborah slid the drawer shut and pointed at the clock. "You can come get it back after class." 2 weeks I'd been stuck on Nightmare King Grim, Hollow Knight's hardest fight. I'd snuck the switch in to grind through lunch and was one phase from beating him when the bell rang. I figured I could finish in class, not knowing today was test day. Now it was locked in her desk while she was passing out science tests. I was working through question 3 when her shoulders caught my eye. Hunched forward, brow tight, tongue poking out the corner of her mouth. 5 minutes in, I caught a sound from her desk, faint and unmistakable, and it was my boss music. Her thumbs were moving under the desk in tiny, precise bursts, and every few seconds her whole body flinched like she'd taken a hit. I raised my hand and asked for the bathroom. She waved me out without lifting her eyes, and I walked the long way around her desk. There it was, my Switch wedged into her lap, Hollow Knight on the screen, 3 swings into the Nightmare King fight. I went back to my seat and stared at the test without reading a single question. The bell rang and everyone filed out and she called my name. She slid the Switch across her desk without looking up from her gradebook. You were 1 phase out from beating Nightmare King Grim. I had time during the test, so I finished him for you. Saves at the next bench. You're welcome, kid. I almost laughed out loud. I picked up the Switch and the thumbsticks were still warm. My science teacher just cleared Hollow Knight's hardest boss during a science test, and I couldn't wait to tell the boys. My teacher ripped the Switch out of me. When a firefly bit me at a cookout, I dropped my burger and texted my boss, I quit, because I knew I'd just been chosen. I'd seen every superhero movie ever made. A bug bites you. You wake up swinging between skyscrapers. My brother asked if fireflies even have teeth, and I told him destiny doesn't answer stupid questions. I gave myself 1 week to master my powers and
What do you mean you quit your job for just getting bit by a dragonfly? Does that make sense, bruh? Does that make sense, bruh? Oh my god, does that make sense?
My first bad guy. Day 1, I stood in my living room and snapped my wrist at the wall like I'd practiced 100 times. Nothing came out but a sneeze. I figured my powers just needed to warm up. Day 3, something twitched on my back and 2 wings the size of my thumbnails unfolded behind me. I screamed so loud my neighbor banged on the wall. I could fly. I climbed onto my window ledge 2 floors up, spread my arms, and jumped. The wings flapped exactly hard enough to do absolutely nothing. I went straight down into the dumpster behind my building. Lying in a pile of banana peels, I noticed my hands were glowing. Not glowing cool. Glowing like a nightlight in the middle of a sunny afternoon where nobody could even tell. That was my big superpower. Not webs, not flying, not super strength. Just a human glow stick that was completely useless. The harder I panicked about wasting my 1 shot at being special, the brighter I burned, and I sat in that dumpster, ready to give up. That night, I walked to the corner store still glowing, ready to tell everyone the firefly thing was a bust. 2 guys came sprinting out with the register in their arms, headed right for the car parked behind me. I was so scared, I lit up like a stadium, so both of them threw their arms over their eyes and ran face first into the streetlight pole. They dropped on the sidewalk next to the busted register, out cold. I stood there glowing over 2 knocked out robbers, and the superpower I swore was useless had just stopped a robbery. I jumped up and down, then dropped to my knees crying, because I really was special. Spider-Man could never. When a firefly bit me at a cookout,
This guy is not special. What are you saying, bruh?
I was flying on a rescue helicopter outside the Grand Canyon when we got the call.
Please hurry, my sister needs help. This is Kayla. We're at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. My arm's stuck under a boulder and my little sister Dana is bleeding through the belt on her thigh.
I keyed my radio. We're coming to get you. Keep her talking. I checked my watch and announced to my team, it's 110
God, bro, imagine they both died. That'd be actually crazy. Imagine they both died, bro.
degrees down there. The bleeding in that heat is no joke. Her sister has around 2 hours to survive, and we're 90 minutes away. We were 20 minutes in when the heat turned on us. The air was too thin for the blades to work properly, and our ETA slid from 90 minutes toward the 2 hours Dana didn't have. I keyed Kayla's channel and heard her singing. I spoke, hello? She responded,
I sing to her when she's scared. She always tells me to shut up.
and her voice dropped.
She's not telling me to shut up anymore.
My heart was pounding, but they lost signal before I could respond. Our pilot made an announcement. The engine temperature is redlining. We have a decision to make. We can land and let her cool off, or keep going and risk destroying the engine. Setting down meant Dana bled out while the engine cooled. How far are we? He looked up ahead. Around 12 minutes away. I grabbed the safety handle. We're going. We were 10 minutes away when smoke filled the cockpit and seeped into the passenger seats. Me and my crew braced ourselves as the helicopter started swerving downwards uncontrollably, and the canyon wall swung through the glass. We crashed into the canyon and my eyes slowly shut and I blacked out. I woke up hanging sideways in my straps. All 4 of us were alive, and the handheld still worked. Dispatch answered my mayday. Second helicopter is heading towards you. They're 2 hours from your position. That's the fastest we can do for you on a day like this. I started hyperventilating because Dana didn't have 2 hours, but there was no way to get her help any sooner. I keyed her channel, and when I heard her voice I spoke. Kayla, our helicopter crashed and our supplies are destroyed. She responded,
Okay, but Dana stopped answering me a while ago. I've been singing to her, but I think my little sister is gone.
I pressed my forehead against my knees and she kept speaking.
It's so hot down here. Can you come sooner? I don't know how much longer I can hold on.
My eyes filled with tears. Kayla, the next crew is 2 hours out. I was flying on a rescue helicopter outside the Grand Canyon when we got the call.
Please hurry, my sister needs help. This is Kayla. We're at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. My arm's stuck under a boulder and my little sister Dana is bleeding through the belt.
That was not aura, bro. Bro really thinks he has aura. Wait, did they both? Wait, maybe. Wait, did they die? My bad. Wait, let me go back to that.
Didn't have 2 hours, but there was no way to get her help any sooner. I keyed her channel, and when I heard her voice, I spoke. Kayla, our helicopter crashed and our supplies are destroyed. She responded,
Okay, but, Dana stopped answering me a while ago. I've been singing to her, but I think my little sister is gone.
I pressed my forehead against my knees, and she kept speaking.
It's so hot down here. Can you come sooner? I don't know how much longer I can hold on.
My eyes filled with tears. Kayla, the next crew is 2 hours out. I was flying on a rescue helicopter outside the Grand...
Bro. That's crazy. The girl just got straight up cooked, and her sister's just like, okay, will you come here soon? It's really hot. Gang, your sister's dead. What are you talking about?
My mother had a chessboard.
Oh, crap. Aw, damn it. Wait.
My mother had a chessboard set up in the living room, and every few weeks she'd make just one move on either side. It was like she was playing against herself in a game that lasted literal years. She taught me to play too, but always on different boards, never once letting me touch the chessboard in the living room. That board is special, she'd say, moving a knight or bishop, then leaving it alone, sometimes for months. It had an address on it she claimed was just the store she bought the board. But then one summer she died, and I hosted a yard sale to clear her house. Immediately, a man I didn't know got out of his car and asked me if I had the special chessboard. I said, "How do you know about the chessboard?" But he just smiled and said, "Come with me." I shook my head because I wasn't going to randomly follow a stranger. However, he pulled out a paper and wrote down an address. It was the same address on the chessboard. I got in my car to follow him, and we drove for an hour to the address. I walked to the front door, and an old black woman in a wheelchair opened it. She said my mother's name and told me to come inside. She explained that her and my mother were best friends for over 50 years, but my mother was white, and growing up in the South in the 60s, she wasn't allowed to have black friends. So they played chess via mail for over 50 years to keep their friendship, making one move each time the other's move arrived. I teared up, and when I walked into the living room, I saw a chessboard set up in the exact position my mother's was before she died. I sat down and played the exact move my mom would have made. My mother had a chessboard set up in the living room, and every few weeks she'd make just one.
That's so actually sad. I'm not kidding.
My big brother Patrick showed me his VR headset and said, "Do you want to prank Grandpa?" I instantly nodded because I wanted to play with my older brother. But when Grandpa walked into the room, Patrick placed the headset on his head and laughed. "Check this out, Grandpa. It's modern technology." He turned it on, and Grandpa immediately started screaming and dropped to the ground, shouting, "Please make it stop." I got a bad feeling and asked, "Patrick, what did you do?" But he just pulled out his phone. I loaded up a realistic D-Day simulation on Call of Duty. Right now, Grandpa sees grenades flying at him as well as blood and gunfire. My legs froze because Grandpa had served at D-Day, and it gave him PTSD for life. He was now being forced to relive it. I ran to take the headset off because Grandpa was curled in a ball crying, but Patrick pushed me to the floor. "You said you wanted to prank him." I realized I wasn't strong enough to overpower him, and when I raised my head, I saw him sellotaping the VR headset to Grandpa so he couldn't take it off. Then he took his phone out and started recording. Grandpa sobbed, trying his hardest to remove the headset, and Patrick was doubled over laughing. "This is going straight to TikTok." I knew I had to do something because Grandpa had given up trying to remove the headset and was now just praying at the sky. His best friends were getting ripped apart by mortar shells in front of him, and he could only watch. I tried to lunge past Patrick to reach Grandpa, but he stopped me with one hand like it was nothing. Then we...
Bro, that is crazy. Oh my God, bro. It's a grandpa. You can't do that to your grandpa.
Both heard it. If I've done it once, I'll do it again. Grandpa was rising to his feet, his legs trembling, and I realized he fully believed the war he was seeing was real. He grabbed his cane and raised it like a gun, charging straight ahead. The cane hit Patrick in the chest, and he fell to the floor. I screamed, "Grandpa, stop!" But he was already on his knees, screaming, "Die, German, die!" He jabbed Patrick in the sternum with his cane, thinking it was a knife. My heart pounded as I ran behind him and ripped as hard as I could, and the sellotaped headset finally came off. Grandpa suddenly jolted up, looking at me with wild, bloodshot eyes. "What's happening? Where's the enemy?" He pointed the cane at me. Then he looked down at his grandson under him. Patrick groaned and wheezed, and I realized his ribs were cracked and purple. Grandpa stared up at me, his face returning to normal. "I'm not at war?" I shook my head while heaving. "No, Grandpa, you're at home. Now let's go get some donuts." I threw the VR headset onto Patrick's chest as we walked away. My big brother Patrick showed me his VR headset and said, "Do you want to prank Grandpa?" I instantly nodded because I wanted to play with my... A toddler was doing a crossword puzzle alone on the park bench, so I crouched down and asked if she was lost. She swatted my hand away. I am a 40-year-old woman, you absolute buffoon. I stepped back and saw she was 2 feet tall, and I figured she was just a confused toddler who'd wandered off, so I scooped her up to bring her to the police station, absolutely convinced I was doing the right thing. She kicked and twisted the whole way there. Unhand me this instant, you enormous oaf. This is kidnapping. I took out the tiny stuffed bear key ring from my pocket. You cutie, calm down now. I waved the bear in her face. Look, someone wants to meet you. She pinched me as hard as she could. You galloping imbecile. You must have the same intellectual capacity as a houseplant. A mom on another bench pulled her kid closer as I marched past. I held her out with 2 hands at arm's length until we got to the police station. She scoffed. Now you'll finally see what I was talking about. I took back the bear and set her on the counter. She smoothed her tiny blazer, lifted her chin, and nodded. Afternoon, officer. The officer nodded like they knew each other. Good to see you, Diane. He pointed at me. So, who's this guy? She rolled her eyes. Another idiot who thinks I'm a helpless child. He typed her name into his monitor and turned the screen around. Diane Holding, 43 years old, world's smallest woman. She straightened her tie, lifted her chin, and delivered her verdict. You've made a rather profound error in judgment. My mouth was open in shock, and the bear was still dangling from my finger. She tilted her head. Are you lost? She rallied out the door and climbed back onto a bench to pick up her crossword right where I'd interrupted it, while I stayed behind to explain why I'd hauled a grown woman in off the street. A toddler was doing a crossword puzzle alone on the park bench, so I crouched down and asked if she was lost. She swatted my hand. My older brother gave me a pair of brand new Jordans and said Santa Claus got them for me. I was 8.
Wait. They said Jordans? I want Jordans. Wait. Let me show you guys Jordans. Let me show them Jordans. Let me show you guys Jordans. Let me show you guys Jordans. Where the hell are my Jordans? Where the hell are my Jordans? Wait, why do I only have one pair of both of my Jordans? Sorry, Jen. Where's my... Oh wait, my bad. We're in what his story. Okay, let's go back.
Years old and believed him instantly. Before Kyle, our fridge was empty most nights, and my mom worked doubles just to keep the lights on. Then Kyle started coming home with food, clothes, things we never had before, all from the North Pole. Our neighbor got a brand new microwave, and the family across the street got winter coats for their kids. So when 2 cops knocked on our door one night asking where Kyle was, I lied and said, he's not home, because the only thing Kyle asked for in return was that I couldn't tell anyone. That lasted about a day. I wore the Jordans to school, and my best friend asked where I got them. I told him my brother gave them to me. He came over that weekend, saw Kyle's room, and said, dude, your brother's room looks like a toy store. I just smiled. Kyle gets stuff before anyone else does. Pretty soon, everyone at school was asking me about my brother, and I loved it. I started going around telling kids about how Kyle's business partners drove up in nice cars every couple of weeks to pick up garbage bags full of stuff from our house, about the trucks that showed up at night, the boxes Kyle loaded into them, and how I woke up one morning to $50 on my dresser with a note that said, thanks for being quiet last night, buddy. So when career day came around, I made a whole poster about my brother, stood in front of my class and told them Kyle helped get products to families in our neighborhood who couldn't afford to buy them from stores. My teacher stopped smiling halfway through and asked to talk to my parents after school. That Friday, 2 cops knocked on our door and I smiled like usual and said, he's not home, exactly the way Kyle taught me. They didn't believe me this time. They came back with a warrant and walked Kyle out of his room in handcuffs. I just stood in the doorway. I didn't understand what was happening. Kyle looked at...
They put his brother in handcuffs. Wait, why is the title My Brother word for Santa? Santa? Well, I'm liking this one.
On the way out and said, it's okay, buddy, don't worry about me. That night, I found out what the North Pole really was. Kyle had been stealing from a massive corporation and giving it all away, to us, to the neighbors, to anyone on our block who needed it. Every gift he ever gave me was stolen, and my career day poster ended up in his case file. After they took Kyle, the lights got shut off and we lost the apartment. My older brother gave me a pair of brand new Jordans and said Santa Claus got them for me. I was 8 years old and...
Men, whip out your stick.
I was camping with my 5-year-old son when I unzipped our tent at night to pee and came face to face with 3 bear cubs. But when I looked up, a huge mama bear stood right over them, staring dead at me.
That's a mama bear right there, bruh. That's a mama bear.
and let out a low growl. My whole body locked up, and I backed away so slow I couldn't even close the flap. I'm a wildlife biologist, so I knew the one rule: never get between a mama and her cubs. But my son,
Okay.
wide awake on his iPad, saw them through the open flap. "Oh, Daddy, I want to keep one!" I'd spent all day teaching him bears were dangerous, and now I had to keep us both alive. The iPad's glow caught a cub's eye, and it started waddling straight toward the light in my son's hands. "See, Daddy? He likes me!" I reached for the zipper to seal us in, but my son lunged past me. Come to Papa!" The cub padded right up to the screen next to my son, and the mama's growl deepened into a roar. My chest went tight. I tried to grab the cub to set it back out, moving slowly so she stayed calm, but my son yanked it into his chest. "No, he's mine! I'm Papa Bear!" The cub squealed, and the mama tore through the flap, her claws shredding the nylon as she forced her whole body inside. She was in the tent, drool roping from her teeth, her eyes locked on my son. My heart pounded so hard I could feel it in my throat, but I couldn't move, because the second I did, she'd attack me first, then my son. The iPad blared a Roblox video, and all three cubs' heads snapped toward it. This was my chance. I snatched the iPad off the tent floor and hurled it out through the shredded flap into the darkness. My son's jaw dropped as the cubs loosened from his grip and bolted after the glowing screen, scrambling out of the tent, and the mama wheeled around and charged after her babies. My son dove toward the opening, trying to chase after it. "My iPad!" I caught him by the ankle and yanked him back into my chest, my hands shaking as the last of the bears crashed off into the trees. Those cubs never wanted my son. They were iPad babies just like him. I was camping with my 5-year-old son when I unzipped.
That's fire. That's just straight up. I subscribe. Wait, actually, no. Okay, no, I have to be nice.
I was in my room when I caught a smell of something burning. I rushed to open the door and saw the entire downstairs glowing an orange flame. The fire spread towards me and my chest locked up, but when I reached into my pocket, my inhaler wasn't there. I tried to just run, but a giant pillar fell in front of me and blocked me. And when I ran back to the window, I realized the concrete driveway was too far down to jump. I opened the window and screamed, "Help!" But the crowd of people outside our 10-foot gate just stood frozen in shock, watching my house burn. I felt the air get hotter as the smoke was now pouring under my door. My asthma made every breath feel like suffocating, and my lungs gave out. I slid down the wall and pressed my face into the carpet because the air was supposed to be clearer here, but all I felt was a crushing heat in my lungs. I began gasping.
Hey, hey. Right now. YT story getting. No, YT story dies. No. Why? No. His story dies. Okay, that's not funny.
And that's when I heard glass shatter downstairs. I tried screaming help, but no sound came out, and suddenly a heavy thud rang out outside my room. My door flew open, and a teenage kid stumbled in, covered in smoke and dust. He ran over and scooped me up, his hands blistered and burnt from the hot pillar he'd just shoved out of his way. His left arm hung at a wrong angle, and the skin on his face was peeling from the heat.
Oh, you know what? I'm actually gonna play.
He didn't slow down. He carried me out the burning front door, and we dropped onto the grass. The crowd was still outside the gate, watching through the bars. I clawed at his shirt, still choking. "My inhaler! I need my inhaler!" And that's when he dug through his pocket and pressed his own inhaler to my lips. I've got asthma too. I sucked in the oxygen and realized the only person who ran into the burning building to help me was a teenager with asthma of his own. I was in my room when I caught a smell of something burning. I rushed to. My dad barged into my room at 7 in the morning. "Where are you going today? Who are you seeing? And what time will you be back?" I told him basketball practice, and he crossed his arms. "You are not driving yourself anymore. I am taking you." He grabbed my phone and installed a tracking app right there. "Delete it and I'll sell your car." Mom walked past and I grabbed her arm. "What is going on with him?" She shrugged. "He is just being protective. My dad used to not notice if I came home at all. Now he wanted a minute-by-minute schedule, and he was the one acting guilty. Whatever had changed, I needed to figure it out before he turned that attention on the one thing I was actually hiding. That night he scrolled through my phone in front of me and stopped on a comment from a girl named Jenny. "What school does she go to?" I said it wasn't a big deal, and he got in my face. "Everything is a big deal when you're hiding things." He was right. Jenny.
Why do you want to know the school she goes to? Why you want to know the school she goes to? Why you want to know the school? Why you want to know the school? Why do you want to know the school?
my girlfriend, and I wasn't allowed to date. One afternoon, when I was supposed to be at the library, I walked to the park to hang out with Jenny. Jenny said her mom had been weird lately too, gone every weekend, dressed up for work trips that never used to happen. We laughed about how both our parents had lost their minds, and for an hour at that park, I forgot I was grounded from my own life. Jenny was the only part of it that felt normal. My dad texted saying he was coming to pick me up from the library, so I raced back, but he was already in the parking lot with his arms crossed. The librarian said you never came in. I opened my mouth to answer and froze. Wait, what are you doing on this side of town? Your office is 40 minutes away. His shirt was untucked and I could smell perfume that was not my mom's. His face turned red. That is none of your business. The next day, while my dad was busy at work, Jenny and I skipped school and drove to her house since her mom was supposed to be in Boston. I turned onto her street and my blood went cold because my dad's silver Porsche was in her driveway. We walked in quietly and heard laughter from the living room, so we snuck up and slowly peeked around the corner. My dad was on the couch with his arm around Jenny's mom. Dad, what is happening right now? He held both hands up. Let me explain. Jenny stepped forward. Mom, her mom jumped up. I thought you were at school. I thought you were in Boston. Nobody moved. 2 kids who skipped school and 2 parents who got caught cheating, all standing in a living room nobody was supposed to be in. My dad barged into my room at 7 in the morning. Where are you going today? Who are you seeing?
Bro,
And what time will you be
is
back?
this,
I told
bro?
him
What
basketball
is
practice,
this?
and he crossed his arms. My neighbor tried to drag my Rottweiler off the porch because he thought I bought a very realistic lawn ornament. Bear didn't even look at him. He's 10 years old and his arthritis is so bad that once he lies down, that's where he lives. Kids pet his head on the way to school like he's made of stone. I leave the back door cracked so he can come and go, but most days he doesn't bother. Nobody's ever given him a reason to get up. Until one night when I was upstairs, I heard metal scraping against glass. I peeked out the window and saw a guy in a hoodie working a crowbar under my kitchen window frame. He'd walked right past Bear on the porch twice, and Bear didn't even blink. He got the window open and climbed inside. I could hear his boots hitting the floorboards as he moved through my house with a flashlight. He stopped in the hallway right below me, going through the coat closet. I heard him whisper, "Jackpot," and I reached for my phone. That's when Bear's shadow shifted on the porch. Slowly, his old joints popping in the quiet. Bear walked through the cracked back door. His thick nails started clicking against the kitchen tile. Then came the growl, low and deep. The thief spun his flashlight around and Bear was standing in the middle of the hallway, staring at him in the dark. The guy dropped his crowbar and screamed, "I thought you were fake!" Bear didn't run, he just walked.
Wait, did you guys see what I see? Bro, when I liked, look what happens.
One heavy step, then another. The thief bolted for the kitchen window and tried to scramble out and got stuck halfway through the frame. Bear walked up, grabbed the back of his jeans, and held on. I came downstairs, turned on the lights, and looked at them. Bear, drop it. Bear let go, and the guy crashed headfirst into the bushes outside. Bear was back in his spot before the cops even showed up. My neighbor watched them pull the guy out of my bushes, looked at Bear and goes, "You're telling me that thing is real?" My neighbor tried to drag my Rottweiler off the porch because he thought I bought a very realistic. My grandma walked out into the open street with her eyes closed. A bus was seconds away from hitting her, and I screamed her name and sprinted towards her, but suddenly, the bus disappeared. I stood there frozen in shock. She laughed and held out her hands to show me her bug. "This is a lucky cricket. It protected me." I laughed. "Grandma, what are you talking about?" she whispered. "I know a lucky charm when I see one." My heart was pounding with adrenaline because I couldn't understand what was going on, and it felt like my grandma was pranking me. I held out my hands for her to give me the cricket. "Aight, let me test this out for myself." I walked into the corner store with no cash and grabbed a soda. Before I reached the counter, strangers started pressing cash into my hands, 20s and 50s, more than I could hold. A guy by the door spun his keys on his finger. "Been wanting to give my BMW to somebody who deserves it for free. Give back to the world, you know? You want it?" Grandma stayed by the door, not smiling now. "With great power comes great responsibility. Don't abuse it." But I was already spinning the BMW keys around my finger. I backed onto the sidewalk, telling her I was keeping it forever. I was gloating so hard I didn't feel the cricket slip out of my fist. I stepped off the curb and felt something pop under my heel. I lifted my shoe and the cricket was flat on the concrete. I laughed. Guess it was just a regular bug. But when I turned to Grandma, she wasn't laughing. She'd gone gray, backing toward the house, whispering the same words over and over. I shrugged and thought she was just being dramatic. But that night, as I was lying in bed, I heard a heavy knock on my bedroom door. Suddenly my room went dark and the candle beside my bed extinguished. Goosebumps went up my arms and the door began to creak open, and I knew it was for me. My grandma walked out into the open street with her eyes closed. A bus was
That's just cooked right there. Man,
away from hitting her, and I screamed her name and sprinted towards her, but suddenly, the bus disappeared. I stood there frozen in shock.
Whoa, the bus disappeared.
My mother, my older. I was in my dad, my neighbor tried.
It's just a thing.
My grandma, I searched garden gnome one time as a joke. That was a mistake. By morning, my Instagram was a gnome catalog. Every reel between cooking videos was a man in cargo shorts whispering about the gnome lifestyle. I scrolled past, but the algorithm didn't take a hint. It took a vow. YouTube ads started playing mid-podcast. Tired of a soulless yard? I muted them. My phone kept suggesting Pinterest boards titled Cottagecore Sanctum.
Okay, chat, I'm sorry for today. Guys, I will see you guys later.